5, 4, 3.
It's showtime.
Good morning, Vietnam!
Welcome to the party, pal!
See you at the party, Richter!
I didn't kill my wife! I don't care!
Get away from her, you bitch!
I'll be back.
I'll be back.
You did not going to say that, did you? What I do have are a very particular set of skills.
The dude abides.
I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way.
Inconceivable!
Little Dallas multipass.
This is a tasty burger.
Face.
Want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Dead or alive, you are coming with me.
I'm the bad guy?
And Hulk. Smash.
I can speak with an English accent.
Hit the hash pipe and join the National Guard. I could be elected president.
You went over my helmet?
What would you prefer? Yellow spandex?
I know, right?
The list is in the open!
Hey, where are the white women at?
They're digging in the wrong place.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
Are you not entertained?
Second start of the ride. And straight on till morning.
Meow.
You son of a bitch.
21 gigawatts!
Wax on, wax off.
Oh my goodness, I am sporting a tremendous woody right now.
Bartender is the aristocrat of the working class.
You want to flip 6-3 whole play and you could score.
Cover me.
Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. On this team, we fight for that itch.
It might be a tumor.
It's not a tumor.
No ticket.
No ticket.
I get older, they stay the same age.
It's not what you know, it's what you can prove.
I'm a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude. He's 15.
I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
Hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies.
Good evening, and welcome to the Reel McCoy. I'm your host, Meffistoe, and always with me, my head or life mate, all my feelings. How are you, sir?
I was prepping myself in case you didn't make it back with coffee. Good evening. Just to be ready.
That's fine. What is the Reel McCoy, you might ask? The Reel McCoy is a weekly movie podcast where we ask you to go watch a movie, you watch it, come back to us, and we break it down for you. This month, we are doing our It's Graphic Month, which covers a bunch of pretty popular, I guess, graphical novel adaptations.
Yes.
And how about basically the first one? And the first one is actually 300.
There were more before this. But they weren't as popular, and also like this one, huge. Just to get one segment out of the way, $65 million budget, $456 million gross. This movie did gangbusters. It's crazy how much money this movie made.
And it ended up being the absolute top grossing R-rated film of all time.
Yes.
Until Deadpool.
Yes, and actually, for was it at least 2.5 years, it held the record for the biggest grossing weekend for a March release until Fast and Furious, the re-release one of the so a couple more years, but that was also a franchise that had a way bigger budget, way bigger marketing budget behind it, way bigger cast, way bigger everything.
And I think more mass appeal. Plus, I think the Fast and Furious franchise is PG-13. I think
it was then. I'm not sure if it is anymore.
I'm not sure. Because there's violence and there's swearing, but there's no nudity.
Yes, and also
there's not a lot of blood.
And they also have the swearing cut down to a minimum as well. That they go in the guidelines where they have that the cutaway where
so it's basically if it's not skirting the line of PG-13, it's definitely. This one is hard R.
Hard
like
R. Yeah.
Hard R. But we'll get to chat about this in a bit. We'll say hello to everybody in the chat. Welcome to everybody that switched over from the Salty Nerd podcast. As you may well know, if you guys are switching over, Salty Nerd podcast do their redirect to Brian's political podcast, which is fine. It's all good. I kind of rewatch it on the replay to like the next day to get my feel on what he says about politics, which is interesting. Generally not my ideas, but really interesting.
Meth.
What?
We have an Aussie in the chat.
We'll get to.
Finn has returned.
Hi, Finn. I saw. Anyway, so I thank you for joining us. So. We'll say hello to Kaladin. We'll say hello to Juliet. Good evening to you. Kalikioki, One Punch Man, and Feckless Finn. Hello. More. And no. Thank you for all the lurkers, all the people who are joining us on the various platforms here, there, and everywhere. Hello to Mr. Farquaad. You have graced us with your presence, sir. All right, let's begin at the beginning. It is time for Behind the Screens.
Sound production, take 2.
Behind the Screens today, I think it's going to be a joint venture. Behind the Screens is where we turn to all my feelings and get the lowdown on everything behind the scenes, production stuff, and some fun tidbits. And if you don't have them, I have them.
All right.
Let's do this.
So just really start off. I think probably the most interesting thing is what inspired Frank Miller to create the original graphic novel. He actually was inspired by watching the 300 Spartans when he was a child. And it was his favorite movie when he was a child.
1960, let me see, 1962.
Yeah. And then from there, when this was actually going around the circuit, at the time, it was the second project about the Battle of Thermopylae, about the Battle of the Hot Gates.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The second one was actually a project that was going to be done by Michael Mann. Yeah. And it was based off of the book, actually, Gates of Fire.
Yes. And you know who the production team behind him was? George Clooney's production team.
Yeah.
They bought the rights for the book.
Yeah. So Gianni discovered Frank Miller's 300 graphic novel and bought the film rights off reading it one time.
Mm-hmm.
That's unheard of.
Yeah, I know.
So Snyder was brought in as he previously attempted to actually get an adaptation of it made.
Yep.
Prior to him working on his first big film,
Dawn of the Dead.
You got it. And he actually had Kurt Johnston come in and completely eviscerate the initial script because he wanted to make it almost a shot-for-shot remake of the novel, with the exception of adding in the entire Gorgo storyline, because that was actually not included really in the graphic novel.
Mm-hmm. One point of contention, the script he rewrite was written by Michael B. Gordon.
Yeah.
Not Jordan. I just found that funny. That's all.
Okay.
that has nothing to do with the movie. I just found it.
And also, if you look at pictures of them, they are completely two different people. One person has a different kind of melanin content in their skin than the other one.
Michael B. Gordon is tremendously white.
Yes. Yes.
He's not white. He's tremendously white.
So, given Snyder's really his vision of it being a faithful reproduction of the novel, he would actually photocopy panels of the novel and put them up on storyboards while on set. And the thing that I found really, really cool is that he did something that really they kind of deviated from a little bit, because they never really say Delios's name that much in the novel too much. And Delios is a character in there, and he's shown that he's supposed to be one of the 300, but that he's the overall narrator, but they gave Delios the impact of him being not only just the narrator, but also the massive orator and the one who gives the riling speeches.
Yes, and there's also a thing about Delios. There was a man that was injured and was sent back to tell the story of the king. So there was like it was inspired
that historically
by a real
did
guy.
happen. Yes, yeah.
The problem is when he got to Sparta, because the Spartans were like real jackasses.
Well, yeah,
they really did
either with your
atrocious
shield
things.
or on it. Yeah.
He went home, but he was alive, so he was shunned and excommunicated.
Yeah.
And to redeem himself, he actually was in the second battle at Plataea.
Yeah.
And he led troops in order to like redeem his Spartan,
himself,
honor,
yeah.
and he died.
That kind of makes sense. We're going to get into more history later because there's a lot of wacky stuff about history.
I just found
you're
just found it really fitting,
off about history with a lot of this stuff, which I mean, obviously it's an adaptation of a concept of a battle.
We'll get to that. Keep going on the production stuff.
So
I was the one that deviated. I'm sorry.
So it's okay. The film required 2 months of pre-production, just pre-production. In order to recreate costumes, swords, spears, shields, and some of which were actually throwbacks and leftovers from two big movies that bombed in the last few years.
One is Troy.
Yep,
and the other one is
Alexander.
Alexander
was the bigger bomb. Even though Troy's budget just ballooned too much.
Kind of. There's a lot.
And also the really unfaithful adaptation of the Iliad, too, which, yeah.
There's a lot to go with the Troy stuff. Maybe we'll cover it someday. Like the
only really that they got as a good adaptation is Paris was a bitch.
Kind of.
He was.
Kind of.
So the other stuff is that they created the one big animatronic wolf for the primary wolf scene at the very beginning in Leonidas' trials during the Yugogi, and also animatronic horses, which I tried to figure out where they utilized animatronic horses.
As soon as I read that line, I saw that line. I think it was on their wiki page on the production side. I was like, where did they use an animatronic one? It's really hard to tell.
Because the only other shots that were shot outside were with actual horses and with actual animals that they had. They were the only everything else shot on a fucking
it's everything on
it was
location
on blue screen, but we're going to get into that in a second.
I'm going to stop you for a second because you went a little bit ahead. What I wanted to say is Zack Snyder, you mentioned the fact that he couldn't sell he just went to different studios. He couldn't sell the idea of that book because he was on that book for like before the 2000s.
He was actually on that book since 2001.
Yeah. Let's just say he just couldn't sell it to the studios. In order to actually clinch to WB to commit to it, after he was hired by Gianni, after he was on board for the projects, he did two things. One, he took the book, and what he did was he stripped the word bubbles, and he animated the backgrounds and had a guy do a voiceover so the studio executives can flip as if they were flipping through a book, but it was on like a digital copy, and he just showed it to them with the voiceover. Plus he made a 90-second full-on bit of a movie where he got a guy to play a Spartan where he mauled down a few Persians. And that's the thing that just clinched it.
So, yeah.
They got the vision of what he was going for rather than just, this is just a comic book movie. with everything. He had the same filters, he had the same everything, and that
well,
was
not
like,
the exact same filters, because we're gonna get to that. That's the
not
post-production stuff.
but he was
I was
going
actually
for-
I was bringing that up with the pre-production. I was going to include that.
Okay,
But we have
Sorry.
the prosthetics and the character design, which I have to give Zack Snyder the utmost credit, because most directors just come in and they work on a project. He threw himself into this one. He was on absolutely every single aspect of the film. So you might not like the guy, and yes, even though I do hate the fact that, yeah, you know, when they did a Watchmen, the first director's cut in 2009, when they did the re-release of it, they did a 300 Ultimate Edition as well, which was Zack Snyder's cut. Which, you know what it added? 2 scenes. That's it.
2 scenes. That's
Two
it.
scenes.
Oh.
That's it. But
I don't hate the man himself. I just don't like his work past The Watchmen. I just went back through his sort of not discography, but his filmography. It's like the next movie after Watchmen was Sucker Punch, which I hated.
Yeah, it was not good.
Then it's like he went into the DC universe, and that's where he lost me. He hasn't done a lot of films. He mostly did a lot of commercials and stuff as a director. Is there an Ultimate Edition of 300? Yeah, he just mentioned
there is.
It's like there's 2
there is.
extra scenes. I don't need any more scenes.
It's really the only thing that's cool about it is the fact that you got double face playing cards with the Ultimate Edition when it first was released. So
now that is cool.
I mean, the collector's kind of item, which is kind of cool. I mean, if you're into it, that's fine.
Yeah.
The other thing that's really interesting is during pre-production as well, the stuntmen and the actors had that rigorous boot camp. And again, Snyder, even he threw himself into it as well to show all of the actors, like, listen, I'm going to go through this with you.
Yeah, if you remember, I don't know if you have seen the behind the scenes stuff, but I've seen the behind the scenes stuff before watching the movie because it was on TV at the time. And they went through what they were going for, and what we know now on how do you call it? It's a specific like type of exercises that now is much more prevalent, is the wheel that you keep turning, the big tractor wheel that you keep turning.
Yeah.
There's a system, the stuff that you do like this with the ropes, it has a name. I forgot it right now. Not plyometrics.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. You guys in the chat might know, but it's the first time where I saw a training like that. And then I saw it in a sort of a gym setting where everything you kind of saw for the training for 300, you saw it sort of like in the gym where you got different devices that can mimic what they did. The guy who was training them is called Mark Twight. Not Twilight, but Twight. And even he said he pushed them to the absolute limit, even a little bit beyond. And he said it paid off. I think Snyder said it paid off too. Everybody hated it, by the way.
Paul's got it too. The high intensity intervals. Yeah, that's
the one. Yeah. That's the one. There's a name for it. I forgot it.
Well, the other thing too is interesting is that there were so many injuries just during training, like Gerard Butler nearly like straining and almost tearing his bicep, and then him he got drop foot from this movie.
Yeah, it's real bad, by the way.
Like that's it. He's got that for the rest of his life.
Yeah,
it's over.
Yeah. Like it's real bad.
I mean, that's.
I remembered CrossFit. It's the first time I've heard the word CrossFit.
It is like CrossFit, but it's like it was even more high intensity than
more. Yeah, it's more than CrossFit. But the word CrossFit, I've never heard it until they They showed the behind the scenes and they talked about it a little bit. Like keep going. We've got more.
I know. There's a lot more. So it was really shot by using. We mentioned before. It's called it's a digital backlot technique where it's all it's not green screens, it's blue screens, because blue screens is
Yes.
actually it's more effective for artists to come in and to digitally adapt and add in extra effects in the afterward.
Which is different from green screen, where you can manipulate and do a lot more CGI intense stuff.
Correct. Yeah. And with that, it was so funny because several actors really did not like it very much. And one of them kind of mirrored exactly what several of our favorite actresses in Death Becomes Her mirrored, where they said, well, Lena Headey especially said, I just did not know how to emote correctly, like, because it was difficult for me to find like pathos, because I'm basically talking to nothing.
Yeah. They were going for stern looks. Yeah, I
very, very much so. Kind of bitchy, not as bitchy as Cersei that you're gonna play in a couple years, but
it's a good prep though. It's a
I
really
think
good prep.
maybe that's why she got the role of Cersei. Like, wow, that, and then like right after, like while she was being Cersei, she played Mama in Dread, so where it's like, maybe you'd be a typecast a little bit, Lena. But so from there we got moving from that into post-production, because post-production is probably the most interesting part of this whole film.
Yeah,
because it took 1,500 short shot blending in order to mix it all together. Meteor Studios was the head. They're now defunct now. But the whole contrast of the light and dark like melding together in high contrast and processing, they actually invented this screen look that you get, where it kind of looks photorealistic, even though like it's almost uncanny valley. It would, especially when they're in fields where like it's fake and your mind's telling you it's fake, but it looks kind of real.
Yeah.
But they call it the crush. And post-production itself, I think it had over 7 different studios working on it in post-production, not only just Meteor Studios.
I saw the number. I didn't write it down because I thought it was a bit too technical. They're talking about like 15,000 different shots or different frames.
1,500, yeah, that was the big one.
And it was something. It wasn't super crazy, but everything.
No, but we've seen crazier before, but
but it wasn't like pure CGI. It's just a sort of an effect that they did. But
yeah. But the most interesting thing about post-production is it lasted for over a year.
Yeah, the post-production was crazy. The fact of the matter is, Snyder worked on this movie before Dawn of the Dead. He started working on it before Dawn of the Dead. And Dawn of the Dead came out, so he worked in parallel. And then he dived into this. It's insane. Yeah. So post-production started. He was working on a different project. Then he cleared his table and went for like full steam ahead. Yeah, it took a long time.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add about post-production?
We kind of skipped on the casting. I thought it was interesting. So Snyder initially Snyder, before picking Gerard Butler, initially wanted Brad Pitt for the role.
Yeah.
It didn't happen for 2 reasons. Brad Pitt had scheduled, like he had a movie coming out almost every year, I think, or every year and a half he had a movie coming back in the day. I think at the time it was Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Mrs. Smith,
I think
it was. Yeah,
so 2005.
They were working on Mr. because that was in production at the time. Because oddly enough, they contacted Vince Vaughn because they wanted him to actually be Delios at one point in time.
Really?
That's true. Which is weird.
Yeah, he's not really a storyteller. But
yeah,
we'll put that aside. But then when it's sort of like, so Brad Pitt had scheduling issues, plus the WB didn't want him at another Troy-esque Greek mythos in a movie. They just didn't want anything. They didn't want any context between the two. So that was like,
they saw how that worked out last time.
Exactly. And then he was like, Gerard Butler and Henry Cavill were both kind of like neck and neck. And at the last minute, Snyder said, yeah, I want to go with the older looking fellow. But it's okay because Cavill went and did The Immortals, which is a terrible movie.
Which
but
is
it's
another Greek story too,
which is another Greek story. So everybody got a little bit of Greek.
Yeah.
Everyone geek for the Greek.
Yes. Before we get into the Greek.
Exactly. Before we get him to the Greek, which is a movie that maybe someday we'll cover.
I love that movie so much.
Maybe someday we'll cover. I really don't.
I agree with Callan there because I think that he was too young. Henry Cavill was too young to play him. Now he could have played Stelios instead of Michael Fassbender. That could have worked.
Or the captain's son.
Astanos. Yeah, he could have played Astanos. Yeah. Because he was actually he was a lot smaller then. Because if you see him in Immortals, you're like, that is Henry Cavill. He wasn't just.
Exactly, because anyway, cut to the captain, Vincent Reagan. He had a role in Troy, minor, and the new Clash of the Titans. So he had like 3 Greek epics or mythoses under his belt.
Now, wasn't he the lead of the Myrmidons? Because I keep conflating him with that actor.
I think he's the second in command, but he's barely on screen. So
because he has to tell Achilles
Brad Pitt about the death
of his cousin.
Yeah.
Okay, because I could have sworn I was like, I do believe that's the same actor. When I first saw this movie, I'm like, oh, okay,
because it is.
Fair enough.
Tim Connolly plays Leonidas's father at the very beginning, but he's also Gerard Butler's stunt double. Because it is what it is.
Well, you can really see it in the infamous "This Is Sparta" kick, where you can tell that's a stunt actor. That's not Jerry Butler.
We have a story about that. I'm saving it to the end.
Save it for the scene.
No. We'll save it for the scene because it's a really interesting story, and it came up on an interview that I saw with Zack Snyder. Very, very funny. Yeah. I thought it was funny. We'll get to that in a moment.
We'll pass on that one so you can tell this one. So when we get to
do you know it?
Yeah, I had it, but it's for like interspersed notes. But
okay.
You get this one though. You get this one.
Keep going. Gerard Butler had 17 different helmets. One for each
segment phase of the battle, like degradation. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, obviously.
It was Michael Fassbender's first ever Hollywood movie.
Yep. And then was it only a year and a half later he was fully frontal nude in that one film?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I do believe so. Yeah.
I have no idea.
Ladies, you might enjoy that movie. Just saying.
This is a revelation to me because I thought Ephialtes, the Hunchback, was a CGI. No, he was not.
No.
That was a 5-hour makeup session that he had to go through for each scene. He didn't do it every day because he doesn't have a lot of scenes. But every time he's on screen, that's a 5-hour makeup session, which is, to be fair, for what we got,
that's really
pretty
good.
Short. It's pretty short.
It's pretty short because again, we were just talking about the substance earlier, and the very end of the substance, which kind of a spoiler, not really, just the monster makeup.
Yes,
she was in there, except for the actress was in there for the majority of it. Like that was all prosthetic, and she had that for 8.5 to 9 hours.
Yowza!
Yeah, because the only thing that was actually
woman
that was visibly open was her eyeball, was her eye on her right hand side, and that was it. And it's like that's crazy.
Oh
and
my
apparently,
God!
like she would only be able to film for 3 or 4 hours, and then she apparently suffered massive panic attacks.
I bet.
Yeah. So,
fucking actresses. Never mind. Okay, and the last thing. Snyder was the one who brought on Frank Miller as a consultant and an executive producer. And they ended up being really good friends. They shared a lot of like similar interests, and let's face it, Zack Snyder, love him or hate him, love his work or hate his work. He's a really like intensely a nerdy guy. So
well,
having to read a book and be an admirer of the book, and then having to spend time with the writer of the book and figuring out, well, we kind of, have similar interests and become real good buddies. That's a fun thing. That's a fun little thing,
It's funny that you
usually
mentioned
it's usually it's like never meet your heroes kind of a thing.
Yeah. No, but just the film that we're going to talk about next week, Robert Rodriguez was the same way with Miller. They became lifelong friends because of their work on Sin City. So.
Well, Robert Rodriguez is a big, gigantic geek nerd in terms of like movies.
Because he bought. Well, we're going to talk about the El Rey Network.
We'll talk about that.
Sin City, which is
I know
that's a whole funny.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
But so the last bit we talked about casting. I just wanted to bring up one note about the score because it is contentious.
Okay.
And there's a big kerfuffle about it because essentially Tyler Bates, the composer, basically kind of stole 3 different songs and just changed the key on one bit and really screwed over a lot of people. It was really bad because several of them were from Troy. The major ones were actually from Titus, from 1999's Titus.
Okay, I knew about Troy, but I didn't know about Titus.
And that was so funny because WB actually issued a formal apology.
Wow.
About it. So, to Elliot Goldenthal, who is the composer of Titus, and apparently they had worked things behind the scenes to figure it out. So they're like, don't worry about it. Listen, Elliot, you want to compose anything else? Just let us know. We'll you're already on. You're on board. Just don't worry about
it. They do what they do in Hollywood when they try to solve problems. They went to his house with a truck and they did
full
like
of cash.
And dumped a bunch of cash on the front lawn. Problem solved. All right, cool. Let's you know what? Let's do a pause because we've talked enough. It's time for the audience to share their thoughts with a little game we like to call Missing Marquee. My mouse keeps dying on me. No, I have not yet bought a new mouse. Anyway, Missing Marquee is where we take 10 posters, have their text written off. We display them, and you guys out there in the chat will have to guess which movie this is. Ba-bam. Chat participation is most welcome, guys. This is all about you. And if you don't know, well, my feelings will help you. I didn't particularly like this movie when I saw it for the very first time, but it grew on me. It's not the best, but it's a good detective story. It is supremely basic. Yep.
That's a good movie, too. One of the best films that I do like thrillers that Al Pacino has ever done. And also, I think probably one of the best
De Niro.
That's De Niro. Sorry.
It's fine.
My mind's blurry now. I think one of the best kind of homages that The Simpsons had ever done was Sideshow Bob.
Oh, yeah. Even I remember that episode.
It's really good.
It is Cape Fear, the remake. That is correct. That is the remake. Yes. You know what? Back in the day where doing a remake was like...
It was more of an homage to the original, and also it also had a unique kind of twist to it as well, because this version of Cape Fear is different from the original.
Yes, because they could go a little bit more R on this one.
Yes, because nowadays remakes are just, well, they're remakes for the sake of trying to
sometimes shot for shot. Yeah.
This is the original, right?
This is the first one.
Yeah, okay.
The first one.
Which I think is the best of them.
Yeah, probably. It has story plot holes a little bit, but if you like a little bit shut off your brain, then it works. It works. It works within the context of that universe, to be fair. The problem is Rocky Balboa was a really powerful kind of button on the entire series. It's a little bit hard to continue.
Yeah.
This is the original. Speaking about remakes, this is the original one.
Yeah.
It is not Roman Holiday. It is Sabrina.
Yeah.
I think the big S in the middle kind of gives it away.
And we talked about how everybody hated this man on set. Oh, boy. They did not like him as a person.
I don't care. He is my Superman.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Gene Hackman. And that story still hasn't ended. Holy shit.
Yeah. Oh, where's Tim Burton?
I didn't like this movie at all.
I didn't either because, Paul's already got it, Sweeney Todd, which it's not a great musical to begin with. And also the story is rather dark.
You know what? Have you seen Jersey Girl? Kevin Smith, Jersey Girl with Ben Affleck and the little girl and Liv Tyler. They had a better rendition of Sweeney Todd than in Sweeney Todd.
Which is odd. People say that like, oh, Jersey Girl is one of the worst films ever made. Have you watched it? Because it's really not. It's not that bad.
You know why?
It's not a great film, but it's not that bad.
I'll tell you exactly why people hate Jersey Girl for no reason. Because when Jersey Girl came out, it was the same time of the Bennifer and the Gilly fiasco. And everybody conflate Jersey Girl with Gilly because the little girl's mom that dies basically she dies at the beginning of the movie it's fucking her.
Yeah.
It's Booty Lady. Yeah. English Patient Zero. Here we go. James got it. This is a terrible movie. That's a Michael Bay movie, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, and this was right after Bad Boys 2, right?
Before. This is 2000. It is, of course.
It's not 2000 because that was after she did Lost in Translation.
Oh, then maybe it's 2000. Yeah. It's really like early 2000s.
Wow, like when we thank you. Well, James, it's Unbreakable, but this is when we thought, oh my God, maybe M. Night Shyamalan can actually make a good movie. Maybe.
It's a really good comic book movie. I really like it as a comic book movie.
I thought it was great. Speaking of Mr. Pitt, this is one of those films that he was working on every single year during that time.
Yeah, this is a little bit later. This 2013, I guess, 12.
No, but he was still in that phase where he was putting out a movie every year.
Like every year there's a Brad Pitt movie every single year. And that's the last one. Wow. That was quick. Good.
I thought there was going to be a little more stuff on Sabrina. Way to go, Chad. I'm proud of you.
I mean, how many really like well-known movies did Audrey Hepburn really do? It's Sabrina. It's see, now I forgot it. Breakfast at Tiffany's. Shut up. Yeah. Breakfast at Tiffany's. Which one? Which other one? My Fair Lady. Sorry. My Fair Lady. I'm sorry, Kaladin. My Fair Lady. Anyway, Charade, Roman Holiday.
I would say Roman Holiday is a lot more known than Charade, because Charade's really kind of a sleeper kind of film, Paul, to be fair.
Anyway, the movie. 300. Starts with like we said. Sorry. I want to preface this because I don't remember if we talked about it on screen or off screen. So live or not live. But we did talk about the fact that most of the movie doesn't really have a lot of dialogue. So it might go a little bit fast. So
No.
we'll talk about a little bit about like the real battle, Frank Miller and Zack Snyder, and
some history points that they completely screwed up, and some common misconceptions that Frank Miller put in the book that are not true at all and weren't true at the time.
However, we'll preface everything with that is Zack Snyder and Miller, when the movie came out to the press and said, this is not a historical
film. No, it's not. That's supposed to be historically accurate now.
This is not historically accurate. There's no there. We had a lot of liberties in order to entertain and do a visceral version of that battle.
Well, to tell a story, that's the best way. The more accurate and really prompt way, the easiest, most succinct way to put it is they just wanted to tell a story about them by making it as bombastic as possible, and they succeeded. And there we go.
All right. So it kind of starts with just explaining why the Spartan soldiers are extremely tough. And most of the stuff in this point is actually pretty true.
Yes.
In terms of historical information, yes. As soon as a baby was born and when he got to like a month old, they tested it. If there was something wrong, they just discarded. They literally threw it off a cliff.
No, they wouldn't throw it off a cliff. That's wrong. They wouldn't throw it off a cliff. They would just leave it out in the woods.
Whatever.
They would leave it outside of town, and you know what would happen there.
The baby was not going to live.
Well, not even old enough to crawl. So it's gonna go. James, we don't talk about Braveheart here because Braveheart just makes me sad.
Stop it. Yes, they did homage Braveheart with the hold thing for sure. Definitely. I think Snyder even said it.
Yeah.
He wasn't hiding anything. Like, oh, I homage this. Oh, I homage that.
No, but
there's a whole thing I took as a reference from here and there.
Was story about the whole bit about the story about the training with the Yagogi. That's very true. They were underfed. They were taught to, well, if you can steal. If you get caught, then it's your fault, and you'll be punished for it. But if if you don't, then guess what? You're fine.
You get punished for it.
No. If you don't get caught, you never got caught. That's the whole thing. So trying to convince them that way. And also other things about the Yagogi, which is very interesting, is sometimes, you know how when you get to a certain age where you want to be with the opposite sex.
Yes.
You can't do that when you're in the Yagogi, and you can't
even do that after the Yagogi, by the way.
No, you can't. You have to actually sneak away to find your lover. And that's why I find very interesting is when they were mentioning about the Athenians being boy lovers, where I'm like, you do realize that most of the men were just like, well, can't get it off one way.
Get it off the other way.
Hey, hey, Patroclus, you look kind of cute in a certain moonlight.
You look mighty cute in them jeans. Yes, Sander. Yes, they were essentially being Epsteined.
Yeah.
It's not fun. That entire basically city-state had about 10,000 real soldiers, about 30,000 to 40,000 citizens that did like supporting roles, and blacksmiths, all that stuff.
Odd is, oh my God, the hypocrisy in the film. So many slaves.
Yeah,
100,000 many slaves.
They had more slaves from like different tribes in Greece.
Yeah,
right.
Their own
more
countrymen,
slaves,
technically, yes.
Than they had citizens and soldiers.
Correct.
To feed the soldiers, feed the civilians, feed the
till the land and everything, more than like do all the actual menial work in order. And also, what's interesting too is they did have the concept right where Spartan women were actually held in higher regard and actually did have equal rights to a certain extent.
They also had sword play training, not as much as the men do, but they did have sword play training. They had to keep physical fit to the point where Spartan women were considered in Greece as the most beautiful because they were the most fit.
Yeah.
In real life. And there's a little bit of a homage there where when Leonidas talks to Xerxes and Xerxes said your women will be treated.
You don't know our women.
You don't know Spartan women. That's like sort of referencing that, because in case of all the soldiery being dead, the women are literally the last defense.
They're almost the auxiliary, yeah, in a way.
It's insane. Especially at the time, because you're supposed to like breed and have lots of kids so they can pick the one that will be a soldier. It's really, really crazy. That entire society was really crazy and probably doomed to fail at one point, and which they did.
Yeah, well, Kaladin, you have a good point there too. Sanders' point. Yeah, that was the Imperial Rome is a lot different than the Spartans, because Spartans were literally just technically their own Greek people.
If we're looking at it through like hindsight is 2020, they were the ultimate version of what Nietzsche was trying to teach in his philosophy.
Oh yeah, breeding the Übermensch. Yes.
Yeah, the Übermensch, exactly. Yeah. It's sort of getting to the perfection of the Übermensch, as Nietzsche said it. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Now the movie is known for basically the action scenes. And
so we can have just a little bit of setup. We have Dilios just talking about the training and the Yagogi, and there's a little bit there. But the major setup was just the line of the wolf in the winter cold, because there's the callback at the very end of the film.
Yeah,
setup and payoff.
The lion thing. Yeah,
yeah, and we have the envoys arriving in Sparta, and this is where we kind of really get into the film and into the meat of the movie.
Yeah. And even in this entire scene, you get to see Leonidas's character, his wife's character, and the councilman's character, which I really I forgot his Greek name.
Theron.
But you could I think the actor's name is like Winston West.
Dominic West.
Dominic West.
Yeah. That's like a really good actor too.
He's a really good actor. I think he played in the Affair, the TV show The Affair, I think. Right?
Yes, he was on Law and Order for a little while.
He was on Law and Order. He always plays not necessarily the villain, but he's always like an asshole in everything he plays. Which to me,
yes, and James is right there. He was
on The Wire too.
He was fantastic in The Wire. Yeah.
Again, he's always he has got that asshole-ish in him, always.
Well, to be fair, pretty much everybody in The Wire was kind of an asshole.
Well, yeah. So, and we have sort of like, we're getting an envoy, please bow down, and Leonidas is like, kneel? Like, you don't know Spartans. Spartans don't kneel.
That's going to be a problem.
Yeah,
and you already like. What's great is the immediate shot back from Gerard Butler's his shot to Dominic West Theron, and his almost grimace like, you said the wrong fucking thing. God damn it, dude.
Yeah. The fact of the matter is, he pulls his sword out, and the envoy is like, "This is madness. This is blasphemy." And Leonidas just pulls a little bit back. Looks across the shoulder.
Gets the nod from Gorgo, like, do you, boo boo?
Yeah. And of course, we get the ultimate saying, which is "This is Sparta." Yeah. Now, before that, there's two things that
I did love it. Just like there is also some great lines that are actually in the graphic novel that. Thankfully, the clear 1-for-1 shot here. If you want earth and water, you'll find plenty down there.
Yeah.
And
Oh, that's straight from the book?
Yeah, and there's one later when Xerxes comes in his first visit to visit Leonidas, and he's eating the apple as he walks over. He goes, and there's no reason why we can't be civil. He tosses the apple to Stelios, and it was Artemis. He goes, not at all, sir. And he stabs someone to death. It makes you laugh. Like even when you're reading the novel, you're like, okay, it's kind of funny.
All right. Two things. One, that this is Sparta line. They did several takes of this.
Yep.
And every single take, Zack Snyder wanted something different from Gerard Butler. And Zack Snyder was pretty happy with the result it got from Butler. But Butler said, well, wait a minute. Let me do one where it's like I go crazy. And Snyder said, well, we're rolling, just go. And he did the take that you see in the movie. And Snyder said, cut, print, that's the one. That's it. I'm done. We're moving forward. That's one thing with this scene. The second thing with the scene is the actual stunt. So the stunt guy right there.
As you can see right there, that's clearly not Jerry.
That's clearly the guy who was playing his father. That's a stunt guy. But also, the dude who was supposed to get the kick was like early MMA fighter, but also a stunt guy. And they asked him, well, can you take like a push kick to the sternum? And he said, yeah, that's no problem. And they did 1, 2, 3, boom, kick. And Snyder said, we did 4 takes, and every single take, you can tell the guy taking the kick already started jumping backwards before it landed. So he went to Gerard Butler's stunt guy, and he said, go at 2.
2. 1, 2.
1, 2. He said 1, 2, and he literally give him a big old fucking kick. And Snyder said, I got what I wanted.
The actual surprised expression on his face was like, oh, fuck.
Exactly. So he got the reaction he was going for.
Good. Yeah.
Glorious. It's those things that in the movie you never get to know, right? But if you do know, sometimes it makes certain scenes really, really good, or to me, really funny.
Funny, yeah, they are.
Yeah.
One bit just as we go here, that we have basically it's a setup for war. So Leonidas goes to the overseers of the oracles. Which is so weird because the E4s were not really what they are, where they were in history. They were protectors of the oracles, but they weren't lecherous old men.
Okay, so the major difference between the E4s in this version, and technically we don't actually know because it's still in the Greek sort of historical records, you've got different tellers. So there's Herodotus that had his version, and Stelios or whatever his name was.
But Herodotus also wrote it in retrospect, so he was getting history from
So what we really know about the E4s and the whole Oracle of Delphi is the fact that the Oracle of Delphi was always this young girl. She was technically used by the E4s. They were never inbred, okay? No. They were chosen from different city-states because of their wisdom. There were more than 5 of them.
Yes. Well, also, it's most important to note the fact that they were chosen for their wisdom out of multiple candidates.
Yes, and there's also an unfortunate mishap that happens to a lot of candidates, apparently.
Yeah.
It's a whole other story, but the fact of the matter is they were essentially a sort of an elderly council, but the thing that was most sort of close to what we got in the even in the book version, I think, is the fact that you could sway their opinion with gold. They were not betraying Greece. So a foreign country could not bribe them. But like different city-states could bribe them in order to make them go against another city-state in Greece.
That's why if you want to talk about the impetus behind the First and Second Peloponnesian Wars, where Sparta basically like, well, you actually cannot fight on this date. You cannot fight your own countrymen. Well, what if we pay you a lot? Okay,
exactly.
That's kind of what kicked off the Second Peloponnesian War. But
the whole point is, yes, the E4s were corrupt. You can say it's corrupt, or they took briberies, but they never sold out the Greek nation, or like Helios, which is correct, Greece.
Yeah. Which is so odd too is the fact that like they mentioned the fact that they had already beaten, which I did find very interesting, is they did mention the fact that they did mention the Battle of Marathon
which is a real battle,
but in the film we're like, you already did beat them, so why are we tucking tail?
In Marathon, it was Darius. It was Xerxes' dad in like the real setting.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying that still they fought the Persians and won, so prove that you can win.
Yeah,
and the only reason why they call it a marathon is, well, given the legend, the fact that
no, it's a place called Marathon.
Well, also no, the reason why they call it a marathon as well is the man ran the length,
of course.
And, well, the thing is too is also, he dropped dead when he got there, so maybe you should run marathons.
It's a thought. I guess, but now, I can't really show.
Yeah, you can't show Miss Swimmy nipples over here because wow.
She's a beautiful lady. I think she's an Irish actress, but I didn't check.
Yes, she is.
But yeah, they achieved that effect by actually filming underwater.
Which is clearly evident. Yeah.
It looks like she's underwater. Yes, they filmed underwater, but it looks really good. Really nice effect.
The only thing that's historically accurate about this is one of the reasons why Sparta did not fully go to war was it was true that it was during Carnea. So that they did get correct.
Yes.
So Sparta could not fully go to war. Even though there were more than 3,300 actual Spartans at the Battle of Thermopylae, and also there were a lot more people, which we're going to get to.
Yes, there were like 400 people from Thebes and 1,000 Phocians and a few Athenians, but we'll put that aside.
Yeah.
This whole scene, I believe, is not in the book. You tell me. I think this scene was added, and maybe it was implied in the book. Definitely not in real life.
It was implied. It was not really shown explicitly. The only thing that I did like about it is the envoy there, the African American with the chuckle, with the big zoom pan in on his face. Such a classic Frank Miller shot, but not an actual Frank Miller panel.
Interesting.
And that's okay, that's cool.
So he homaged Miller without actually lifting something off the book
directly. Yeah,
that is really interesting.
Yeah,
I can't really. Okay. So Leonidas has the last night with his lady, and he wakes up in the morning, and everybody's out for a stroll. I love that.
Yeah. So where are we going? I think we're gonna go north.
Yeah, we're gonna go north. We're gonna go for a stroll. But before we actually say we're going for a stroll, he goes to his captain and he said, "Well, I want to make sure that everybody here has a son, so they have we're not breaking any family lines," which is actually something that is from the true thing. That happened,
which is oddly a military tradition that was actually borrowed not only by the Spartans, but it was actually almost unilateral in a lot of prominent family lines throughout Greece at the time. That was adopted by Romans and by pretty much most of Western culture moving forward.
All right.
Where you couldn't actually be like conscripted to battle unless you unless you had an heir in order to keep your family line safe. Unless you were a serf, like in the medieval era, where like, just go out there and poke them with sticks, dude.
And from this whole scene, regardless of what the tribute that he gives to him and his son's involvement with the shield and everything, is the fact that you're not supposed to cry at any cost.
Yeah. Well, and there's no emotion
don't
either.
Cry.
Well, he couldn't even say "I love you." Well, like
Yes,
that's why like his last words is "my wife, my love" when he dies. So.
Yeah, I will go with this. I suppose I'll head north. We're going out for a stroll. Well,
to the hot gates.
Just me and the 300 bodyguards that I've got with me. And of course, we've got Ephialtes sort of dogging them Gollum style, right?
A little bit, and we're gonna get just about a character nitpick when it comes to Ephialtes, and just a moment his rejection scene, because to me,
we'll get to that. I want to get to this because this is something that is sort of prevalent, and this is also another facet of the real Spartans, is the fact that people in Greece who went to war, people in Greece who went to war, the different city-states. They had a standing army, but the standing army was about 1,000 to 10,000 to 1,000 to 2,000 people. Only the Spartans were like 10,000 men, like soldiers.
That's why they had so many slaves.
That's why they had 100,000 slaves.
Yeah, well, and this is Daxos and the Arcadians, which is they use the Arcadians as a blanket term for pretty much the rest of Greece. And it's like there were a lot more of the Grecians than there were Spartans to
but he mentions the Phocians, that they have Phocians with them, which is a real faction or a tribe, or I don't remember what city state they had. Phocia, I guess. But they do mention the Phocians, which was really historical correct. But the fact that Leonidas is like, Spartans, what is your profession? What's your profession? Who is your profession?
I want the Potter to be like, I don't think that's a profession. I don't think that's a profession. I don't think that's a profession.
So before they have that meeting with Ephialtes, they're coming to this village. And they realize, well, this is a scouting party that
the showing
comes in
of the immortals of what havoc they can wreak, and they also have the footprint of.
I'll show the tree for a second.
Cut up, we
all know what tree I'm talking about, but
there is actually
people.
There is the actual. This is not just we're referring back to Nietzsche here, but no, there actually is the big footprint, the big immortal. His footprint was there from the scouting party, and he is called the Uber Immortal in the credits. So
we'll leave that alone.
But I'm just saying the immortals were already shown there, so it's tying into the immortals. And what's interesting is
they kind of mention the immortals. They speak about them just to prepare you for the sort of awe that you get from meeting them for the first time.
That's what's the interesting thing is the immortals in actual history. You know the story behind them, right?
Aren't there supposed to be like the early assassins?
No, they're not Hashashin.
They're different.
They're different. No, the immortals were actually just a faction that were the elite of the Persian Guard. And what's most important about them is they were always masked. They were always hidden in their identity. So anyone could wear their mask and be an immortal. So it was always under the assumption that they never died because one would always pop up whenever one died.
And there's also I remember that now from my history buff class from YouTube 2 years ago. Anyway, the thing about the Immortals is not only it's the mask, it's the fact that when they attacked, they didn't attack with their whole force. They attacked in waves.
Correct.
So it seems like it's an endless wave crashing and crashing and crashing. It's like it's the same guy over and over and over again. That's why the Immortals. It's not the Assassins, but there's
No, the Hashashin. That's something that we could talk about later.
Yeah,
when we talk about some other films. Yes,
the Hashashin actually had similar types of garb. That's why I know.
Yes, hidden mask garb. Yeah. The other thing too is well, we're going to talk about their actual arms and armor with the Spartans in a bit when we get to their first combat. But we'll get to that in a moment. But we have the bit with the ships in the storm, which is actually true because this did happen.
Yes.
Yes. Well, it happened to what records we have, which are again,
and also it happened because the Athenian fleet was on a safer side. That's why they went through a bad side of that part of the Aegean. But
yeah, because
we'll
put that aside. Blockade. Yeah.
Because the Athenians were better not ship builders, but
they were better naval
warfare, especially in that area.
And also they implied they were one of the first prior to the Romans to implement the what they call the naval plank.
Okay.
You know what that is?
No.
Well, first of all, a lot of classical warfare naval warfare at the time, it was basically like try to ram your boat into the other boat and sink it. And if you couldn't, plank it. Plank it it's basically, it seems dumb as shit, but it works effectively. It's a big old plank on a lever with a spike on it. You put it down and you board the other ship.
It seems very piratey to me.
Yeah.
Never mind.
See, now, what's interesting is that's the reason why, oddly, later on, the Romans actually adopted this as their primary military tactic because they were more renowned of their actual military fighting force, not their naval strength. So they would get close, plank, board.
Board, kill, burn.
Yeah. That's how they won the Second Punic War in a lot of naval battles.
So another emissary comes in while the Spartans are building a wall with people in the wall.
He is using them. They're using them as fucking mortar. Yes, he says.
And of course, as soon as the emissary comes and he wants to lash somebody, he gets his arm cut off by Mr. Fassbender, which I don't remember his Greek name.
Stelios.
And then he cuts off his arm and he says, well, you're good. Our arrows are going to blot out the sun. And it's like, then we'll fight in the shade.
Yeah.
And it's
great setup and payoff.
Line.
It's great.
Yeah. Like you said, it's a great setup and payoff. So when the arrows do blot out the sun,
you have Astanos laughing. He's like, "What are you laughing at?" Well, you said we fire in the shade, idiot.
What a great setup and payoff. Now, I don't think that's in the book, but I haven't read all the book. I skimmed through the digital version.
The fight in the shade is in there, but it's not. There wasn't really a joke connotation to it. We do have
one thing before the battle, and the battle just goes a lot faster.
Yes.
It's a lot of first hour is a lot of setups. It's Ephialtes. He comes in,
which is so odd. Is if they stuck to actual classic Spartan phalanx, which by the way, they didn't just try to fight fucking nude, by the way. This is the one thing that always irked me about this movie. I mean, like, obviously, like, yeah, hot dudes walking around pretty much naked, gonna get some ladies in the seats, maybe some men too. You never know.
Definitely some men too.
But they would not fight. No, they had armor. idiots. Of course they had armor.
They had very light armor.
Yes, they had light armor, and they depended mostly upon their shield, which is they did have very large round bronze shields. That's categorically true. They've actually found remnants of them.
It's phalanx warfare is very much something that later on was kind of perfected with the way that the Romans did it, where it wasn't strictly a phalanx with javelins. It's much more of a spear kind of a tactic with the shield wall kind of a thing.
Yes, I would say that the Romans did perfect that on top of pincer maneuvers with cavalry warfare. That was really the lesson that they learned, oddly enough. Was in the Second Punic War when Hannibal whooped the ever-loving shit out of them several times.
But the phalanx warfare is something that is very, very Greek, and that's why it kind of was...
hoplites, yeah.
Hoplites, not phalanx. Phalanx is Roman. Hoplites.
But what's odd is he did utilize the term phalanx in the film.
Yes, that's why it kind of confused me, but phalanx is the shield wall. Hoplite is the Greek version, which was very successful.
Well, hoplite's more of the soldier, the individual.
Because up until a certain point, Alexander the Great used that to like crush the Persian army until they got hold of like chariot warfare and horses and all that stuff, and
eventually, when he got to Indus at the time, and elephants,
elephants, yes. But the whole point here is the fact that Ephialtes can't lift his shield up, and that's important because they're working as a
cohesive unit.
Yeah, it's a cohesive
which
unit.
Would make sense in the film if they followed that model. Where I'm like,
yes,
seriously, why couldn't you just be like, hey, instead of listen, we can't have you on the front lines, but you can be right behind us. Anybody who gets behind us, fucking just stab him to death, dude.
Yeah,
have at it.
The whole point is that the second line does most of the damage. The first line doesn't lift the shield to thrust any javelin, or at least not. They're not supposed to.
No, you're supposed to be the one covering, and that's why the Greek formation and the tower shields work better because the overall coverage is vastly superior. That's why the Greeks got crushed when they fought the Romans.
Yeah, essentially. But this is sort of that first wave, and there's you know what?
Then right here, like they break formation. They're talking about how the importance of the phalanx with the hoplites is so. Just their main full strategy, even when he's explaining it to the A4s, like they were wave after wave smashing the Spartans' shields. Where are you right now?
Yeah, you are like
it's all supposed to be
exposed.
Liberty and just it's supposed to be a movie. It's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to see like really good fighting bits and everything, because it would be really boring just to see them walk into a line and stab, and
just keep moving. So they were doing that essentially, but then they kind of broke ranks. And yes, Kaladin, we said it. They constantly in this movie break rank.
Yeah.
The thing about, and this is where Zack Snyder comes into play. Every single director has his own style. Spielberg has a style throughout the late 70s into even the late 90s. If you saw a Spielberg movie, it felt like a Spielberg movie.
Yeah.
Same with Michael Bay, same with Ridley Scott, and definitely with Zack Snyder or John Woo. John Woo is a great example.
John Woo, yeah. So, are there 10,000 doves?
Yes. Are there a lot of slow motion? Yes, it's a John Woo movie. It's like, and the same goes with Zack Snyder. It's very dark in terms of tone and color. Look at this entire picture.
No, but right here, just as we mentioned before, just quick interjection.
Yeah.
The contrast between light and dark that Meteor Studios developed. Look at it there. It's gorgeous still.
Yeah. And it looks like light brown for the entire thing, except for that red cape, which is, it just pops in your head.
Yeah.
And if he turned the shield around, you can see the bronze, but it fits with the light browns of the entire filter that they got over here. Sepia color. Sepia. Sorry. So with Zack Snyder, you know what you're getting with the action, where it's fast and then slow, and then fast and then slow. Right?
Yeah.
He keeps playing, unlike John Woo, where you get a slow motion and then it cuts to a different angle and then it continues. Here you've got a full sort of like one motion continuing from one to the end, but in the middle you've got like fast, slow, fast, slow, fast, slow. And
Correct,
then you move on to the next scene.
Snyder's infamous for his hypercuts, where it's only on one particular point of action, like his point of view that he wants you to focus on specifically has the cut. That's slow, then the action resumes, and then slow, and then resumes. This was actually in the novel, which is another great line too.
Yeah.
They look thirsty. Maybe we should get them something to drink.
And then I think this was also in the book. I'm not sure which one. I'm pretty sure this shot was like a panel in the book.
Yes.
This one was a panel in the book.
That's a direct
mistaken.
one. When everything looks too bombastic to look actual, even somewhat factually accurate, that this is a direct actual panel shot.
Yeah, so this is the one where you have that payoff. It's like, oh, you said we're gonna fight in the shade. We're fighting in the shade.
That's laughing. Yeah, that's great. But we do have then right after that there is the scene with there's no reason we can't be civil, and there, why couldn't you just have El Fiarte just stabbing the wounded? Hey, he's just like your little brother. I'm helping.
Trying to get to a specific scene and I can't get it. Are we gonna jump all over the Senate thing?
Yeah, well,
the whole subplot. I'll just go over it.
Yeah, go ahead.
From start to finish, I'm gonna start with this just to make an explanation. I don't remember the name of the actor, but he was the old night owl in The Watchmen. I don't remember the name of the actor or the character, but he later on went with Zack Snyder to do the old
Stephen
night owl.
McHattie.
Thank you. So this starts. He tells her the council.
And also, did you see that Stephen McHattie is also fucking jacked?
Yes. Yes. But Dominic West was Jack too. But
like all of them were, because they all went through. Like if you were in the movie, you're going to boot camp. Yeah, that's it.
Are you a male? Yes. You're in the movie. Yes. Time to push those goddamn tires from here to there. So this starts that subplot of let's go to the council. The council might be swayed. The whatever name Dominic West is like
Theron
is in their ear, and you have to like
convince
them to literally take out our entire army and just join Leonidas in order for us to win this war. It continues on with her addressing the Senate. No, he comes to her, and of course he says, "Well, that the other guy was in her bedchamber just like me." Because
that was the Senate thing. Well, basically, like he kind of R-worded her.
She let him rape her. Let's just say that for the good of the country, for the good of the realm. She did a Cersei thing.
Yeah,
before Cersei.
Very much so. She did what Cersei did with the King of the Tides.
Yeah, Baratheon.
Not Baratheon.
Which one?
The Iron.
A lot of people.
No, the Admiral.
Oh,
the Iron Isles.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So, for the good of the realm.
For the good of the realm. That's kind of that whole storyline is kind of Euron. You're right. Euron Greyjoy. That's what it is, Callum. Thank you. It's gonna take me forever to remember that name. And Euron's very different in the books too. Like he has a horn that could basically.
Don't go there. Don't go there. Don't get me started. I'll be flustered and we'll be here for 7 hours. No.
Everybody ready for an 8.5-hour podcast?
No, I need to go to bed at some point. Anyway, I'm just going through, and the whole point is that whole subplot has a ending where she just takes out a sword and just fucking stabs the guy.
Murdered him, but also the thing is it didn't matter that he was found out to be a traitor. He was still a politician and a leader at the time and a man of respectability. So she would have, even though she was a queen, she would have been killed.
Technically,
under
yes.
Spartan law, because she did still commit murder.
Technically, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this is the scene you were talking about where he just gives him the apple and the guy's like, yeah.
He's just like, well, it's a small delegation. And he's like, well, yeah, if they kill me right now, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
They kill me, you can go back and be like, hey, listen, they just assassinated the king under the pretense of being an ambassador. So it's like, that's a declaration of war right there.
Yep.
After all, we were just on a stroll.
Yeah. So the name of the actor is, like, I think it's Roberto Santiago or something like that. So the guy is
Rodrigo Santoro.
Santoro. Yeah. The
and
guy
he actually
is not that tall.
No. They actually he ended up playing a younger version of himself in the prequel of.
Oh, don't.
Yeah.
We don't discuss that movie.
But there he was.
Rise of the Empire. Holy shit.
Which is so weird because but he's not 8 feet tall in that movie, so why is he 8 feet?
I don't know.
What's going on, man?
Now, the thing about Xerxes is he's tied into the Jewish Halloween.
Which is what I find funny is the fact that Xerxes actually, if you look at his actual record outside of military conquest, he was actually a really super chill dude.
He was a really super chill dude.
Like he
was in that battle, but he wasn't like in the front lines kind of a battle.
Yeah,
he was way back. And when stuff didn't go his way, he just packed up and went back home.
Yeah. When they got trounced.
Yeah.
Eventually she's like, okay, no, I get it. Don't fuck with Greece. All right, cool, rock and roll.
He was just okay, fine, I get it.
And also, like the people that he quote unquote like conquered, half the time he just said, "Hey, you want to join us? You can keep your religion. That's cool with me. I don't care. Just pay us some taxes, and also you get our protection on top of that."
He kind of inherited most of what he had at the end of his reign.
Yeah.
He didn't have a lot of battles where he actually conquered. It was mostly Darius.
Yes,
who did the conquering.
True. Yeah.
And they had essentially from India to up to points in Ethiopia and most of Turkey. So up to like Afghanistan, Pakistan, like all the way out there. It's a massive territory.
Yeah,
it's a massive, massive territory.
And the thing is, too, is he is still revered.
Xerxes did nothing wrong.
No, oddly enough, you know what? You're not that too far off because he really. No.
The Persians really wanted Greece, and they just could not take everything.
No,
they took a lot, but they didn't take everything.
You know why they really wanted it?
I don't remember. There was a reason.
It was full access to the West from there. It's a full starting point because they'd have a full breadbasket to feed armies, to fuel, and to push westward. And then from there, they can go right into the Mediterranean.
Yeah, but they had like bits and pieces out of like Lower Hungary and all the different like
it wasn't
old Yugoslavian nations. Not all of it, but just a little bit.
But this was fully cultured. This was already fully established. This was already ready to go. So
yeah,
essentially, like they did have the same kind of concept where they would send envoys out first before any battle would be set out. Be like, "Do you guys want to join up? Say what's going on?"
Yeah, just pay tribute, and we won't activate our 300,000 like man marching armies.
Yeah,
it's essentially kind of like
Greeks.
What. Yeah, kind of like what America, like every empire does that. It's like we can activate the greatest army on Earth, but
we could destroy you, but you guys don't play ball.
So the thing about this is Leonidas is like, okay, the Immortals are coming next, so we're gonna have.
I do love just Gerard Butler able to play off snark so well as Leonidas. Where it's like, I'm sorry, but kneeling's going to be a problem. I got so tired slaughtering all your men today. I don't think I can kneel right now.
Yeah. He said about something about like a difficult night or a tricky night or something like that.
No, so, if my guess is like better prepare yourself, because if my guess is wrong, we're in for a wild night.
Yeah.
And
so the whole Uber assassin, Uber immortal, not assassin, Uber immortal comes in, and this is where we're gonna start losing individuals. And again, they're breaking ranks all the time. And by the way, did you notice the guy who did like a drop kick?
Yeah,
like full-on wrestling drop kick,
like a full-on missile drop kick, like off the top rope. I was waiting
funny.
for Michael Fassbender Stelios to just tap his elbow and Macho Man somebody.
Yeah. To be honest, it's pretty fun. A lot of these fighting scenes are pretty goddamn fun. And
they have to make it bombastic, because otherwise it's just slowly trudging forward, stabbing, and keep marching and stabbing, marching and stabbing.
Yeah.
I love this. If you guys like, for the audience, real warfare, it's not fun.
Yeah, not fun. This scene where it slows down, and as Delios kind of realizes, oh shit,
Delios saving Leonidas, and then because this is after Leonidas saves Delios from another one. So it's again that sort of inherent respect that they have for one another, because if they're on the battlefield together, even though he's a soldier and he's the king, they're still just soldiers together. So they're one for one. They are equal here.
Yeah. And there's that moment where he gets that cut. I don't have the exact moment.
That was the other line I wanted to mention on that note with Delios and Leonidas.
Yes,
because he mentioned like, oh, you have thousands of slaves, and how many would die for you? Well, I have my men, and I will die for any one of them. Sorry, I'm paraphrasing, but that's what Leonidas essentially said. I would die for any one of my men.
Yeah, but he said to Xerxes, and we kind of mentioned the fact that it's like you don't know Spartan women.
Yeah, that too.
Which is as I like that line. A lot of the lines here kind of made me chuckle a little bit on like a rewatch, because I already know what's gonna happen. When I saw this for the very first time, I didn't know what was gonna happen.
I knew that the story of the Battle of Thermopylae already. I'm like, so yeah, everybody here on screen, they're gonna die.
It kind of went into that direction, so I kind of was like, yeah, they're probably gonna die, but they're gonna stop the army, which not necessarily happened, but we'll put that aside. But they do have moments in there where, like, dude, the guy's like literally falling backwards.
Yeah. This looks like one of the a WWE like Big Show when he does his Big Show punch, and he just did the whole comic pratfall backward. Or like Shawn Michaels with the sweet chin music.
The whole point of the matter is when they go into nighttime, they have that different filter, and they established that during the first in the E4s, and then later on when Leonidas has sex with his queen. They use a different coloring for doing night and day. So the night is pretty much it's grays and
dark blues. Yeah.
Yeah, and the morning is sort of like that desert sandy kind of a thing.
Sepia tones, yeah.
Yeah, sepia.
And what's great too is after this too, we get the only one big call in to the actual historical events that actually occurred with having Daxos and his men actually fight for one scene.
Yes.
And that's it.
Which is, like you said, it's more accurate. They were 300 Spartans, but there were also other men there.
They were actually 300, but that's
this is where now the rhino is in the book, but it's not historically accurate, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And the elephants as well.
Yes. Well, also the way that they made them look like the war elephants from Lord of the Rings more than they look like actual elephants.
Well,
come on.
The elephants from Lord of the Rings are modeled after the Hannibal elephants, the war elephants.
Which but they're also like 20 feet taller.
Oh yeah, they're a little bit of like Xerxes is a little bit exaggerated. Those elephants are pretty much exaggerated too. But I love it that is sort of like one Spartan against a massive raging rhino, and the raging rhino dies.
And they gave the kill to Astanos.
Yeah,
as
to
well.
Astanos, and immediately after that, he gets fucking beheaded.
Yeah, well, they do have the big where Michael Fassbender gets his big action role with the Mystics, and their magic. So like they're using pre-gunpowder. They're using basically like almost.
It's not even
grenades.
Yeah, it's not really a gunpowder thing. I don't remember what the name of the technique that they used, but they used I don't remember what it's called, but they used a very primitive version of a phosphorus type of deal, but it wasn't really phosphorus. It wasn't burning you afterwards, but it did a lot of sort of like shock and awe damage. So in sort of the way like they use flashbangs.
But would it have enough potential explosive force in order to throw off shrapnel? Okay.
It did if it blew up closer to you, but if it touches your shield, it did nothing. Like shrapnels, like the guy took a shrapnel to the thigh. Yeah, you could get a shrapnel to the thigh, but it was mostly like shock.
I was just curious to see if it had enough actual exponential force to propel an object.
No, they had to be real close.
Pierce skin or anything.
Yeah, they had to be real close. Now, I don't know if he thought about it or not. When they throw it, they're behind people with spears.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense in terms of historical thing. And yes, there were some of these people deployed in the Persian army. Again, the whole point of like more making it's a sound that you've never heard of on the battlefield before.
Yeah, well, it's all. No, I get what you're saying. It's complete shock and awe, where they thought that this would break their ranks because they're like, "What this loud bang?" And I can't see suddenly.
Exactly.
What the hell is this?
Yeah. And then it throws you off, and then you get mauled by men with swords and spears and all that stuff. But yeah, technically it's accurate, but you know,
you would think that they would put a spear contingency in front of them, have them in the middle, and then have an artillery line behind them. So once the bombs went off, have the artillery rounds go off, because shock. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, I guess. Now, the whole menagerie of
well, I
weird...
would say differently abled individuals that that are employed by...
We'll call them earthly Cenobites, I think. I don't know.
So, yeah, because a lot of them are basically like, I think you kind of like it. Well, if anything, I would put it this way. If Xerxes followed one of the 40K gods, he would follow Slanesh.
Oh, yeah.
Very
He's
heavily.
definitely a Slanesh guy. Definitely a Slanesh guy. Well, we can show that for a second. So during the whole elephant thing, that's where the son dies.
Astanos, yeah.
Astanos.
And also, too, where if you had not broken rank, you wouldn't have died, dummy.
Yeah, and what the captain does is actually breaks rank. Oh, wait, I can't show that.
They actually do say, like, and that's when the captain broke rank. Everybody broke rank.
It's like he was bloodthirsty and crazy. It's like, well,
he was blood drunk. Yeah,
blood drunk. Yeah. Well, bloodthirsty and blood drunk are the same thing. It's a different thing in World of Warcraft. Never mind.
Wow.
You went there. Yes, I went there. Well,
technically he's not an orc, so he couldn't.
Shh. Stop with your racial things. Never mind. Not that kind of racial.
Hey,
racial.
I'm not saying I'm racist or anything, but I don't like orcs.
Not racist, racial. Play World of Warcraft in vanilla in 2005. You'll get what I'm talking about. Anyway. DK is like, that's not going. No. We're not going there. We're not.
So we basically just have. So we have Xerxes freak off going on.
Oh yeah, it kind of fits with the whole. Yeah, we've got a menagerie of death, but we also have pleasure.
Well,
Definitely
and it's the enticing
guy.
of Ephialtes in order to betray the Spartans, which they've already turned their back on him, so they already assume that.
I guess this is safe. Safe.
Yeah, enough. It's fair right there. Do not cut one frame above.
Yeah, I know.
It's full nipple. So
yeah, the black chick is very beautiful. Let's just say that.
Well, but also,
lady. Yeah, I know. I've seen the movie today again.
Just be careful.
Yeah. Well, we'll put this. That's a bit too much for me. Plus, he didn't have a turban. Persians always wore turbans.
Actually, well, no, they didn't at the time either.
Yes, they did. They had not the turban, like the Muslim turban. They had a different turban.
Well, they had a different kind of head wrap, but they didn't refer to it as a turban.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah,
it's a head wrap. Fine, I guess.
Yeah,
but they always wore it, especially the royalty and the aristocracy.
Yes,
it's sort of considered above everybody else.
Well, it was also a mark of their rank.
It's if you had a wig, the bigger wig you have, the more important individual you are. When it was in Europe at the time of the wigs, that's the whole point. We're gonna skip the whole rape scene, but yes.
Well, the only thing about Ephialtes is essentially like they made a unique story around how the Persians actually did find the goat path at the Battle of Thermopylae in order to overcome the Hot Gates.
Now, I don't remember in terms of real historical thing. I think they sent like a scouting party.
It was a scouting party who actually did end up finding the goat path, and then
like outflanking the entire contingency, which was the 300 plus the other men that came from different areas.
Also the other men, they didn't leave.
Oh, they didn't leave. They died.
No.
They all died.
They all died.
But that last conversation with the Akkadians, like
Daxos,
the Spartans never retreat and they never surrender. But you can go. You can go back. That's fine. We'll stay here.
Bitch.
It's good. All right. we'll stop here before everything. Well, it's not a lot. It's basically the last battle. However, we're going to play our second game of the night. It is called Screen Fighter.
Round 1, fight.
Screen Fighter is where we take two movies, spit them together, and see which one is the best one. If there's no discernible difference between the two, both of them are good or both of them are bad, we fall into our criteria, which is Saturday evening, Friday evening, out with the boys, out with the girls, out with your significant other, two movies in a vacuum. Which one will we pop in? Bad News Bears or Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid? Vote, ladies and gentlemen, in the chat. Vote, vote, vote. All my feelings, you have the floor.
This one's difficult.
Mm-hmm.
I love both of them so much. The only reason why I would pick the Bad News Bears is because I would always default to a comedy first. And the ending of Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid's kind of a downer. It's great, but it's a little bit of a downer.
You know, I do enjoy the Bad News Bears. I will go with Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. I just enjoy the movie. It is a very long way to get killed.
It's a great fucking movie, don't get me wrong. That's the only reason I was picking between the two is a one tiny contingency.
And the audience is mostly on Butch and Sundance. So, yeah. Snow White and the Huntsman. Very, very apropos. Very apropos. And Arachnophobia.
A movie that a lot of people don't remember that they've seen, because I've talked to people about this film, about Arachnophobia. Like, do you remember a film?
Oh, I remember.
A very overweight man killing spiders. Yeah. I don't remember what the hell that was about, though.
It's John Goodman. Those are some scary spiders.
Yes.
And
not as scary as Eight-Legged Freaks, though.
Yeah.
That's a movie we'll talk about one day. Oh boy.
One day. Chat says Arachnophobia. Yeah. I say Arachnophobia just because of John Goodman, because he was so goddamn funny.
Yeah, I will also go with that because Kristen Stewart's just awful in Snow White, even though she's better than Rachel Zegler as Snow White.
But by the way, have you seen the other Snow White movie that came out the same year?
I've already told you.
Yeah, it's just as dumb.
Yeah.
Okay, Star Wars Hollywood Special or Liar Liar?
Okay, I'm laughing my ass. You have obviously you've seen the holiday special.
Of course.
I'm curious to see how many people have seen the holiday special, because it's a thing that nearly killed Star Wars.
I'm looking at the chat. I have my reasons why Liar Liar. My reasons are
is apparently when Wookiees have their holidays, you got to go there. You put on their headset, you are in for a fucking trip.
Okay.
You remember the scene?
I'll tell you why Liar Liar. I don't particularly like Liar Liar in terms of what you got in the story. But if you can suffer through the entire Liar Liar movie, the blooper section at the end is worth the entire watch. Star Wars Hollywood Special has none of that.
The only good thing in retrospect about the Star Wars Holiday Special is you can laugh at it because it is that terrible. Otherwise, obviously, Liar Liar.
Liar Liar is not one of his best films. However, that blooper reel at the end, which is 1:40, is worth every single fucking minute of that movie.
It's Jim Carrey just chewing scenery. That's all it is. But also, Denise, thank you for that gifted sub, buddy. Appreciate that.
Aloha, buddy. Aloha. He's from Hawaii. Yeah, the beast is from Hawaii. So thank you. And I don't know who that gift went to, but thank you very much. That really helps. The Quiz Show or the Royal Hotel? I haven't watched The Royal Hotel.
I'm certain that you haven't. Go ahead and re-roll that one. Yeah.
All right. A movie that I definitely have seen. Juno or The Quiz Show?
Quiz Show. Quiz Show is so fucking good, and the fact that it actually did reveal, it was the story of the scandal of quiz shows at the time. It's a great movie. Juno, vastly overrated.
I liked Juno at the time. Did a rewatch. It's good. I like J.K. Simmons in it.
Yeah, well, obviously, I don't think I've ever seen anything. What?
Okay. Just look at the cup.
Hey, there it is. It's obviously an American Tale. That's easy to. I wonder if you're looking at the same moon that I'm looking at. But yeah.
I'm again looking at the crowd because I've already made up my mind. An American Tale. I saw it in the theater when I was a kid. I was way too young for it. I don't even remember what it was, but I remember as a kid, I really liked it. It's about a mouse from Russia who immigrates to the United States.
Who's basically, if you really go into it, it's about a Jewish immigrant mouse. It really is. It really is.
I'm not going to lie. That's true.
Yeah.
That's really true. What's your choice?
It's American Tail. Even though Jersey Girl is not as bad as people say it is, it's still like American Tail is a classic.
I'm going with Punch It Chewy, but I've been outvoted by my own goddamn chat. Sorry about the goddamn penny. I know. Come on, last. I think we're gonna go with the last one because we basically have a wrap up.
Yeah.
Come on. You know it's gonna stop and then it's gonna jump, like it always does.
Always does.
Come on.
Oh,
see.
Well, in the interim, I will have to ask you: has J.K. Simmons been in a bad role?
Probably.
I can't think of one. I really can't.
It's still stuck. Flickchart.com is an old website. It's a really old website. It's still thinking. I went out and came back in. It's still... Well, we're going to stop here. Okay. It's a good point to stop at Jersey Girl, I guess. I don't know.
Coming up
you
again.
Can see in the background what's going on. It still hasn't loaded up.
I will have to say, all of a sudden,
yes.
In Google Trends, there were 2 mentions of Jersey Girl in the last 24 hours. What?
Yeah. Yeah, that's not going to happen. So we have that full Senate scene that ends really badly for some people.
And we do have the line with Leonidas having his final kind of speech to his men. Eat hearty for tonight, we dine in hell line. And also how he sends Delios off to tell a story. And we also have...
Yeah, because during that whole Mystics, he injured his eye. And he sends him back home in the same way he treated Aphiades because his left...
I don't think it's only that. I think it's because he's also the best orator out of all of them.
I think it's a double reason. I think
that's true.
He is one, and he's a good candidate to tell the tale, but he's also injured, and he's a liability. But also, the point is Leonidas knows that they're all going to die the next day. So to explain to him, you're injured, you're no good to me in the fight, but you're a good storyteller, so you'll live to fight another day.
Okay. So we have just that last bit is we have then the whole bit with Artemis. So my heart is now only filled with hate. He's like, I lived a life without regret until today because I didn't tell my son that I loved him. About Astanos,
Yes, that bit. And Leonidas doesn't really know what to say to him except for we all mourn for like your loss because he was a brother and like a soldier with us.
He said, my heart's breaking for you. And it's like, my heart? No, my heart is now filled with hate.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, so you're good to go.
Yeah. I think he's good. I think he's gonna murder a lot of people tomorrow. Yeah. So this whole bit with this is to me one of the greatest shots. Where he's like
the honeycomb phalanx with the spears. Yeah, it's really well done.
It's the turtling also, I guess.
Yeah.
This was never ever a hoplite thing. This is a Roman thing.
Yes.
But
it makes a lot more sense
cool.
with tower shields because you can just have a line in front, a line side, line on top.
And line on the top.
Oh, you just walk. Yeah.
But in terms of like what a great movie shot this is, and there's a moment where they show you the tips of the arrows, and it kind of looks like a frog or
like
a
scorpion
lizard.
or
scorpion.
Well, and what's interesting is they actually did use barbed arrows at the time because barbed arrows, if you pull them out, what's going to happen?
Exactly. And they leave a lot of, it leaves you bleeding. Let's just say that. It's nasty, but warfare is nasty. So he fake kneels in order to,
It also, just as an aside, this is supposed to be the story of Delios telling it to not only to Gorgo but also the council. How did he know this happened? Dude, you were there. Talk about an unreliable narrator.
Yeah, the whole point is like he's narrating the fact that he did not wear a helmet because it interfered with the throwing of the javelin.
It stifled. He had to lose his shield because it would weigh him down, and his target was far. This is like, fuck do you know? And how the fuck do you know that he knelt down then called for Stelios to pop out and stab the envoy who's like, dude, just say like, hey, we give up and you're good, man.
Yeah. There we go. I got it.
The only other good line was great is his line to Elfiati, which is kind of like the biggest Spartan cut down, which is what got almost a little of almost concern from we lost Meph, I think.
What?
Oh, sorry, you were circling.
You were roboting, dude.
No, you were on my end, but okay. Anyway,
keep going. You're good.
No, but for Elfiates, when he said, "May you live forever," because Spartans look for like they look like berserkers trying to go to Valhalla. Like they want to die in battle, and say like, "May you live forever." And the look on Elfiates' face was like he's been defeated, the ultimate slight.
Yeah, sort of. I always thought about like not. Technically not Vikings, but more like Klingons, where they're like, it's an honor to die in battle.
Yeah, which
the
also
ultimate honor.
What kind of goes back to there was a scene with Stelios where he is actually with Daxos, and he looks down and goes, "We look for a beautiful death, and maybe one of them down there will give it to me."
Yeah.
So
yeah, and it's also kind of a setup and a payoff, and it just. This moment, I want to get to that shot, so please bear with me. Where they just,
well, I will say in the interim while you're getting there, they have the one bit with I mentioned Stelios. Stelios's last words. It was honor to die by your side,
my king.
And he said, well, it's an honor to live by yours.
That's a great moment. It's a really great moment. And this moment that is the opposite of them under like having the shield and fighting in the shade. And this is like the ultimate, you're dead. If there was any kind of concerns, no, you're dead.
And what's odd too
is cinematically, it's a great shot.
Cinematically, it's a great shot, but logistically, really fucking bad idea because some of those arrows, Xerxes is not that far away from him.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
I have to go, everyone. Thank you for having me, dude. You were not on the show, but you were on the show. I support your channel. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
that
James.
helps a lot. That helps a lot. Every single, just so you know, generally speaking, every single dime that I make out of YouTube seriously goes back into
Goes right back
production.
in. Yep.
Yeah, it's been like that for years and years and years, but we haven't had a lot of funds. But when we did, seriously, it buys better microphones, better sound systems, better computer components, and pay for StreamYards, which, costs quite a few dollars. But it's all to maintain that. I still have my day job. My wife still has their day job. This is for fun, basically. And the money that goes into the production is just so you guys can hear us better. We're going to look better. If I can do like better stingers and better stuff to add to the show, I will do it. It's all a matter of time. And sadly, it's about money. So thank you, James. Appreciate it. And everybody who watches like live or watches on the replay, thank you. I do really enjoy this weekend thing because the rest of the stuff that goes on the channel takes a lot of goddamn work. This is just fun. I can't really show that, but
so we do have essentially from there we have Delius meeting Gorgo, giving her the pendant, and there being nothing left said there. Then Gorgo giving Leonidas' son the pendant for him.
Yes,
because he's essentially like he's carrying on the line. So then we have Delius' speech.
Yeah, and the whole point is him telling everyone else out there, this is the second fight. This is the
this is the Battle of Plataea.
Plataea. Sorry. This is the Battle of Plataea where they actually got a lot of Spartans and Athenians and every single, Greek faction or city state going out there and actually confronting them on the playing field and technically destroying them, where this was the last battle on Greek soil from the Persian Empire. Everything else was, I think, Alexander the Great, which he wasn't really technically Greek, but we'll put that aside.
Macedonian, but yeah.
Macedonian, but it's basically the same peninsula. Anyway, but yeah, so it all kind of culminates, and I did mention the fact that the real guy who was sent back was called a traitor, went to this war to redeem himself.
No, he wasn't called a traitor. He was called a coward. There's a difference.
Traitor and a coward in Sparta are the same goddamn thing.
It depends.
Yeah.
That Herodotus read too much.
Yeah,
but then from there, they just have their charge, and that's it. And we get you get just actual like panel shots from
this
actual novel.
Full on panel shots from the novel.
Yep.
Yeah. But it's a long. To be fair, it's a long credit. It's like 1, 2, 3, 6 minutes.
Yeah.
6 minutes of credits.
Yeah. You know why? It's the same
Zack.
reason why. Exactly, it's Zack. It's the same reason why Watchmen had so many credits. He wanted to give everybody credit.
Yes, it's just insane. Plus, he genuinely liked the graphical novel, so he wanted to show it off, I guess. And that kind of brings us, well, I'm trying to do something else. That kind of brings us to the end of the show. Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic movie. A great watch. Not a lot, generally speaking. It's a 2-hour movie, almost a 2-hour movie. It's an hour 50. If you watch the ultimate cut, I think it's 2 hours 10 with the 6-minute credit, I think. You guys tell me, or all my feelings, you correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's 210.
No, theatrical was...
No, not theatrical.
No, theatrical was 159. I think director is an ultimate cut, because ultimate cut also has more scenes with the very end, because it has more cuts of
of
Miller stuff. So I think it's 208 or 209. I have to check my copy, but yeah.
Doesn't really matter. So it adds, like you said, a couple more scenes here and there.
Yeah, but they really, again, doesn't really add much. It's not like the Watchmen Ultimate Cut or like the Justice League.
There's not a separate. Yeah, there's not another separate, fully animated,
like, pretty much
comic
movie
book within the comic book. Yeah,
yeah.
Nothing like that. And remember, this is generally speaking his first foray into the superhero comic book stuff, because Dawn of the Dead came first, but it's the zombie movie. But yeah, an awesome watch, an awesome movie. It's just a full-on, if you just think about like a good action movie. I don't like the sword and sandal moniker of it. It's a good Greek myth.
I would say Sword and Sandals fits more of like the 70s and 80s kind of stuff, like
the Clash
original
of the Titans,
Clash of the Titans, and like
Jason and the Argonauts,
yeah, like those. Even going into like the mid 90s to early 2000s, like Hercules, Legendary Journeys, and Xena Warrior Princess. Those are kind of Sword and Sandals. This is not that.
Yeah, it's a much more dark. It's gritty. It's everything the book really is, with, a few changes here and there. Not a lot. No. I remember it having a real significant change when I dived into the subject matter. It was pretty much on point. The whole difference is between real life historical fact and the movie, which they didn't even pretend it to be historically correct. So it works. I think within the confines of the movie itself, if you just take the movie on its merit, it's a really good sort of like Greek myth, even though it's not a myth, but a good Greek myth as a good sort of story between, the underdog versus the mighty empire, or, the few against the many. And
I will put it this way, Meph. I think that this is the ultimate version of a quintessential version of what would be the perfect screen fighter film.
Perfect screen fighter film, as in you just put it on a Friday evening,
or you're flipping the channels, it's on, I'll watch it, it's all right.
Okay, cool. With that, we will direct you to next week, because next week we continue Frank Miller, and we continue the almost one-to-one adaptation with a graphic novel called Sin City. Yeah, so we'll have some fun with that. Great. Lots of actors, lots of fun, and a really dark noir story. I don't remember the director, to be honest. Who's the director? Oh, Robert. See, I'm an idiot because you said it before. See, I exposed myself yet again. All right, guys, watch Sin City and come back to us next week, because you have to remember that hope is a good thing, maybe even the best of things, and no good thing ever dies. See you next week. You're still here? It's over. Go home.